Welcome back to another episode of Facing Fear. This is a mini-series where we're documenting me going from zero to backflip. We're entering an exciting phase of the journey. I feel like I graduated in the last session there, getting through the successful backflip there at Air House in Squamish on the trampoline. So now we're kind of entering the on-bike phase. And before we get into that, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to North Shore Norco for helping me out with this amazing Norco Rampage dirt jumper here. It's done wonders for my confidence already, just being on the right tool for the job. So can't thank those guys enough. And I think I'm definitely not going to be giving this one back at the end of this journey. I need to keep it. Awesome. So yeah, I'm here with Mike Sousa today. So new coach, Ryan's out, Mike's in. Mike is a highly experienced mountain bike coach. You've been coaching here in the Whistler area for over a decade now, right?
Yeah, about that. About 11 years now.
Yeah, fantastic. And some people might recognize Mike from the podcast. We've done a couple of episodes together now as well. If you haven't seen those episodes and you'd like to hear more from Mike, definitely a great resource. But Mike, perhaps you can just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about how you got into this side of biking, specifically coaching dirt jumps.
Yeah, I mean, it was always kind of my dream, but it was a little spooky. I started mountain biking like most people do when they come to Whistler, is with a full squish bike and doing the bike park at first and then getting into some of the enduro trails. But long before that, and before I even lived in Whistler, it was skateboarding. And so for me, skateboarding is like closely related to the BMX and its culture and that whole street kind of tricks kind of mentality. Yeah. That was really kind of my jam and what I was hoping to ride. But after trying it a little bit with friends hardtail and BMXs, it soon became clear how difficult that was. So I kind of just put it down and didn't really do it. Then fast forward like almost 20 years of mountain biking here in Whistler, and it just felt a lot more attainable or a little bit more inviting. After having such foundational skills figured out and so much time coaching other people. I felt like I wanted to give it another try, better jumps out here, and a lot of people that I can consult and good resources. So all that together kind of got me into it a little bit and took my dirt jumper that I had for ages, and instead of just riding pump track and using it as a training tool, which a lot of people in town use, I did start riding some dirt jumps, consulting some people. We got the Whistler Airbags now, which has been huge for that progression for myself. And so yeah, just taking advantage of all the resources available, and it's been a really fun ride, and it's translated into the mountain biking as well, into the full suspension stuff. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, fantastic, man. And I really love that you brought up like often these kind of goals, getting on a bike with less equipment, less suspension, it's perhaps less forgiving, can be quite scary, especially approaching that as an adult. And I know a lot of people will hear that kind of thrown around like, dirt jumps, it's way too dangerous to learn as an adult, or BMX is. But it's been really cool for me seeing you kind of go through this process as an adult. And that kind of opened up my eyes that, hey, perhaps with the right resources, the right bike, the right jumps, the right coach, we can actually make it less scary, less dangerous, and actually make it a really attainable, fun goal. So it certainly felt like that process so far. I know we had a really great session at the river jumps just down the road here in Whistler a couple of weeks ago. I actually wish we got a cameraman out there because we had some great conversations, and I feel like you really helped me work through a bit of a block I had in terms of like approaching some of those steeper jumps, some of the bigger gaps. And it was really cool hearing about how you broke it down. I've been back for a little bit of practice since then, and I've kind of been thinking about what you were telling me in regards to perhaps working on popping a little higher, being able to spot my landing earlier. And what were the kind of main things? It was kind of like heels down on the takeoff, toes down in the air.
Yeah, a little bit of heels down on the takeoff, just trying to keep that pressure on the bike so that you're pressing it forward with that ramp in front of you. And then when you're up in the air, to relieve that position, don't stay there. And that prevents you from being on the back end of the bike when you're in the air. Bring it back to level pedals and kind of bring those toes back down a little bit. And that has the rear wheel rising. We started playing with some trajectory. I mean, like you said, it would have been great to have some of that documented, but nonetheless, I mean, we made some real ground there, I think, with that was your first real gaps, right? With the dirt on steeper flips.
Dirt jumps. Yeah, before that I was always doing like the smallest line in any dirt jump park, but never had the confidence to progress into the medium or the large ones.
Yeah, so a big step in the direction, like you certainly don't want to be trying to flip a jump that isn't all that steep or kind of more of that sort of shape. It doesn't tend to go well, and it does require like quite a lot of amplitude and rotation that's generated out of the pop. So it's just too demanding for someone starting on that flip journey, and I think we're going about it awesome. It's a pretty exciting spot right now that we're in.
Yeah, fantastic, man. I'm
Yeah.
stoked. Like I said, I've been back to those same dirt jumps as well as the casino jumps down in Squamish, which are awesome. And it's been so cool being able to hit these lines that I've been staring at for years and was always too afraid of. And
Yeah.
I feel like getting the mileage, I'm really starting to feel what you were talking about last session. So yeah, really excited to hear about the plan today. I think one of the coolest things about this process for me has been I never know what the next step is going to be, but because I know I'm in good hands with you and with Ryan at Air House. It's exciting. So yeah, we're at the mulch jump here at the Nesters area in Whistler. What's the plan today, Mike?
Yeah, well, why don't we head down here and have a good look at the lip just to see what we're working with a little bit.
Great.
All right. So we're here at the Nesters trick jump, or Nesters mulch jump as it's called by the locals here in Whistler. And, you know, it's a bit dry today, so in an ideal world we would have some water here, but currently it's been a bit of a dry spell, so we're gonna have to just make do and try not to break the lip up too much. But this jump we can see is quite a lot steeper and taller than anything you've worked with so far.
Yeah.
And so the goal today is to just kind of like take what we know and just start to increase the terrain a little bit in a safe way. I like to use this jump because you can see the furthest left option has that wood case guard. And so the goal today is to kind of start pushing through up that lip in the same way that we were doing on the snake line at the Whistler River jumps.
Right.
And then see how previously, like see how it compares. Because in that one, if you imagine the comparison, like the lip's a little bit lower, this one's a tiny bit taller. And then we also have a step up factor. So that's gonna take away that second half of the jump.
Right.
It's gonna remove some of that risk. So if you make some mistakes early on in the process, not to worry, you're never that high off the ground.
Okay,
there's never a gap beneath you. And so that's how we're gonna gently work up to a steeper lip without having to deal with some of the other elements that we had at the riverside.
Yeah, great. That's really cool to think about, because I'll be honest, I've ridden a mountain bike through this area before, but I've never really looked at these jumps in terms of like, I'm going to hit them. When we first pedaled in here today, I was kind of like, oh, wow, yeah, it's bigger than anything I've hit. So I was a little bit nervous. But that being said, I feel good about trying this jump out.
Nice. Yeah, I was watching some of the stuff that you and Ryan were working with at the Air House, and it's like perfect segue to what we're working with here. A lot of parallels. And we're about to feel that in action right here.
Okay.
Let's check it out.
Amazing. So first step is to roll in and feel the jump. What do we think?
Yeah, I think so. What I'll do is I'll kind of let's kind of go through a couple of demos and we'll show you where a good drop-in point is. We want to make sure that we arrive to the ramp with enough pace, like a minimum, and that's going to be the absolute minimum to where we can safely get all the way up with not much of a press.
Yeah.
Because it's likely that we will have some hesitation on the first go.
Yeah.
You're not going to give all the press that you know how to do or is available with this brand new feature. And so what we want to do is establish the drop point at a place where just by being off the brakes from that point will be enough to get you there. If you press, it'll get you there a little more safely. But let's find that minimum so that we can at least get to where you're not coming to a stop until your front wheel has completely rolled onto the mulch and left that wood platform.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Sounds good. So use the speed to start with, we'll add the pop later.
Yeah, and we're getting zero air here. So the goal is to roll over top of it, front wheel over the wood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome, man. Should we,
I'll grab my
what little water we have on that?
Yeah, let's do the water. All right, so the first thing I like to do when we come to this jump for the first time, like it's usually quite steep and dramatic looking for most people when we first arrive. And so we just kind of want to warm up to it. So first thing, like we said, we're gonna look for the drop point. Today it's a little drier, so a little looser maybe on the run-in, so just a little bit of attention on that, and it's gonna roll a little faster. So I'll do a little roll-in. Previously I have used this little fork here as a bit of a reference marker where we can see the rocks begin. Yeah. With a hardtail anyway, and like we're about the same size, so some of those things always taken into account. If I was on a different bike or a different mass, different rider, we might go a little bit higher, we might go a little bit lower.
Okay.
But for our purposes today, we're gonna use this right here. And first drop in of the day, I'll go ahead and test it and make sure that the read is correct on that. And before I go, just a couple little breaths, relax, be mindful of the moment. Try to shake off any feelings of like kind of ooga boogas or concerns. In some ways we can do that as well as just kind of reminding ourselves we have this like wood platform underneath. Right. Okay, sweet. How do we feel about coming in off the brakes? Does that feel good? Does that provoke any like hesitation? if everything feels good with all that, then we know the plan, we're gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna roll up to my start point here. And in order to kind of control the parameters, I like to think of it so that we always start at the same spot. And it's gonna be a 0 breaks from that spot.
Okay.
And that way, if you kind of roll in somewhere here or like a half pedal, we're cutting out all those variables just to simplify it and make sure that we're on the same page for speed of the drop in. Okay, so first little test, I'm gonna test it out here and see how we go. I'm gonna do no brakes, not much of a press, and no pedals. Here we go. So as you can see, I mean, it was pretty tall and stiff. There wasn't really much press at all.
Yep.
And starting from that point with no brakes, no pedals, gets you right up there. If for some reason you feel a little bit slow coming up it, you can always put a foot down. And we're just trying, if we can, to make that foot placement on the top end of the wood or further. But if you absolutely have to, if you've measured a slower speed on the first go, then you can just kind of put a foot down a little earlier on the wood too.
Right, okay, that's good to know. I'm gonna try and visualize, I guess, planning for the best so that I can hopefully not need to put a foot down. But it's good to know that's possible.
And I always like to remind too that like the best part about a first try is it only has to happen once.
Right.
You don't have to first try again, not ever again.
Yeah, you have that silly once reach jump, eh? Yeah, awesome. So rolling in, no pedals, no brakes.
Nice.
Okay, feels nice. I hope that wasn't like faster or higher than what you were hoping for.
That was just right. Yeah. And we'll do a few of these without adding much. Like as you know, with coaching biking, like it's kind of nice to not put too much on the plate before there's a substantial mileage in there, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
So without adding anything new, we're going to do a few of those and see how things change. You might find yourself pressing a little bit. You might find yourself maybe dropping a little bit higher.
Okay.
Now that you've got a read on it. So we'll do just a handful more tries, kind of thing.
Sounds good. Yeah, it'd be good to get comfy on this bike for the day.
Exactly.
Awesome. Nice. It's a nice jump, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can tell it's well built.
Yeah, it is good. It's built really well, especially for what we're trying to learn here. It being a step up, it's always a preference style of jump for, we got the mulch there, as we can see, saving the locals from injury. Yeah, step up jump's always going to be preference when we're trying tricks or anytime, we're going to do something new in the air. Again, just cutting out that down part of it where you're in the air for longer. It's more critical what you input into the bike, what it's going to do in the air. And so we're just cutting all that in half. So you can get away with some small mistakes, and it doesn't need to be perfection in the same way that a full-on jump might be.
It's cool hearing that why, because when I think about the flip and doing it to a step up, I would have been like, oh no, that's more complicated. What if my front wheel cases it?
Yeah.
So it's cool to hear like the background behind that process. It does make sense when you say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, like you just don't have to, the longer you're in the air, the more precise you have to be with your press and your pull. And when it comes time to when we are doing rotations, like we'll feel that firsthand. But if you can cut it out to a little bit less time, then you don't have to be as precise. And usually there is a tendency when we first start to flip to kind of have that want to get out of that upside down space pretty quickly, because it's just a kind of a spooky place to be when we first start. And so when you go for a really big jump or a jump that's even height and not a step up, then you do need to kind of chill it out quite a bit. And that can be a lot to ask for first few flips. So but we'll cross that bridge for sure. I'm going to join in the fun behind you after you've gone yours and be part of the warm up here.
Sounds good.
Nice.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
Sweet. So it's looking good even after a few tries, like without adding or asking for it. I'm already seeing you introduce more movement. There's a little bit more press going on than our first tries, and even some kind of absorb now as well. So I'm going to kind of break that down a little bit more and kind of be more specific with it. But we're going to do more of this pressing and absorbing now on that same jump.
The press up the ramp through the lift and the absorb in the air.
Yeah, we want to think about it like sometimes I talk about it like if this is your ramp, you want to think about the start down here. We feel pretty light pressures through our bike. As you move up that face, those pressures that are passing through your bike will increase. And so every time on the lip, the pressures are strongest, closest to the flags if there are some, or at the top of it. And so you want to create a position where you are most braced against a very strong pressure towards you. One way we can kind of feel that static, if you want to drop your bike down, and we can kind of do a quick little exercise that I like to do sometimes, just to get a feel of what that's like.
Yeah.
So if you stick your hands out straight and keep your elbows locked out like this. Now when I deliver pressure through your palms,
Yeah.
I want you to keep from bending your elbows, and you should find that it's going to try and push. I'm going to try and push you over here, so you can even go and brace your legs a little bit like they're on your pedals. Okay, now I'm going to deliver pressure towards you. Okay, you see how you like push back a little bit?
Yeah.
So the pressure that I'm delivering makes it to you and moves your mass.
Right.
Okay, let's start again. And this time when I deliver pressure, I want you to start locked.
Yeah.
But then upon feeling my pressure, I want you to break at the elbow. Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, so now you can see that your mass stays where it is. So in order to create the trajectory where we get a nice pop and we have arcs that look like this,
Yep.
which is precisely what we want in order to have more time and weightlessness to introduce tricks, we need to work that where we're finding a long position with good bracing at the top of the ramp.
Okay.
So the first step with this is going to be we need to start from the opposite position because we can't be any kind of tall at the start because that just means that we have less range of motion to get there.
Right, so we get to the top and we can't press because we've already pressed.
That's right. There's not enough bend to create length from. And so our first task is going to be dropping from the same place,
Yep.
but now we're going to create a little bit of pop using a low position with lots of bend and good bracing,
Yep.
and then deliver length as we move up the ramp, like we're already familiar with from doing the snake line a little bit. We're going to do it now with a step-up style jump.
That was a big thing there, wasn't it? I was kind of using my knees unconsciously, I think, to absorb a lot of the pressure from the lip.
Absolutely.
Probably out of fear of actually going too high.
Yeah, and
In
it's
reality,
like...
that's what I needed to do to clear it nicely, and that was less scary in the end.
Absolutely.
It's a cool process to go through.
Certainly, and it is like part of the process. Very rarely will I see people skip that step.
Yep.
It's almost always part of it.
Okay.
Your just body just goes on guard. You're moving into what looks like a wall, at least instinctively, and so your body kind of shuts it down until you get a little bit of mileage and you build that muscle memory to create the trust that allows you to move freely and more completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get started here, and then once we get a few in, we'll kind of go a little more in depth.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan.
Nice, that was beautiful. Yeah. Nice.
Thanks, man.
So the try right before this last one, the one that was the first after delivering that new task, I don't know if you noticed, but did you see that you actually went to the right of the wood? Did you notice that?
I didn't. I was thinking so much about the crouch, so that I could press, yeah.
Well, you actually went to the next lip over a little bit, and so the wood wasn't underneath you. So that really speaks to the body language. There's comfort there.
Yeah, this is feeling comfortable after doing those like proper gaps at the snake line.
Yeah.
Yeah, this whole like step up thing, it feels good.
Totally. Like sometimes we might even use this prior to that snake line if it feels a little intimidating for some riders in order to cut out the gap.
Yeah.
But because we worked on that before this,
Yeah.
it's clear that you're just kind of pretty comfortable with the idea of a deep saddle or a complete gap, so long as it's not too big.
Yeah.
So because of that, I think we can go ahead and just move on to the right side.
Okay.
We do get a little bit of extra lift
Yeah.
and a tiny little bit of higher landing as well, but they kind of equal each other out.
Are you talking about the far right side here?
Not quite the furthest, just where you were when you didn't quite
Right
realize
where I
it.
didn't pass it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Because thinking about like that far right line, I was kind of like, oh, that feels like a bit
No,
too
we
much
may
of a
get there
step.
today, but
Yep.
we'll kind of continue to work this a little bit.
Okay, great.
And before we get there today, with that being the goal or that similar size jump being the goal, we want to generate a lot of pop so that we can kind of feel what it's going to, almost like creating more than what is necessary for this lip,
Okay.
so that when we get to a bigger lip, and it is necessary as a minimum, we already are familiar with that, what that feels like to push that hard and to leave that tall from the lip. Yeah. So let's do a couple more to the right now of the wood. And this time kind of thinking about trying to keep that bike heavy against the dirt.
Yeah, keep that pressure consistent.
Yeah, just all the way through and leave with length in your body. So trying to resist the urge or the comfort of making ourselves small too early. The reason being is that, like, once, kind of like what we did with the static exercise, like once we bend at the elbow, you've put a ceiling on your trajectory.
Right.
So the bike, when you press through effectively and hard, you will find that the bike wants to naturally lift you.
Yeah.
So long as you keep length in the body and you keep bracing, it's pushing against you. The moment that we start to absorb, that available energy that was lifting is now going to turn into forward momentum or a forward arc.
Yeah.
And so we've put a ceiling on that height.
Right, that makes sense. It's kind of like a bunny hop, like the height we can get our front wheel is the height we can get the rest of our bike and our body.
Yeah.
Whereas if we absorb too early, the front wheels,
that's right. That's the top, and then the back wheel starts to rise.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see how much we can get that front wheel, or how long we can have that front wheel lifting before acting in our absorb to lift the back wheel.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing.
Nice.
Was I still absorbing with my arms then?
A little bit, and there was also like a little bit of length at the bottom that could have been smaller in order to deliver more of a crouch or more of a starting point to push from.
Okay, yeah.
So we can get deeper at the start of it and taller at the end of it. But I kind of want to start with a deeper in the start of it only, just so we're not coming in with like too much on our mind.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of work on the top half later.
Okay, great. So you're just getting deeper on the running for now.
Yeah, we'll start from a lower position to push from, and that'll just create more motion. That will be more energy that potentially can create more trajectory here.
Fantastic, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, low at the start. Nice, Jake.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome. That was really good.
That felt good. Thank you. Yeah, great feedback.
You added, I mean, it was a little difficult to see from up there, but it looked like you added like a solid foot to your height from the top of it.
I'd say it felt like that from where I landed.
Yeah.
The GoPro will tell it never lies.
Yeah. Right. So why don't we now, in the next, let's say, handful of tries, let's just experiment with, like, that's our new starting point, that how deep you got at the bottom.
Yep.
And then looking for like as much length as you create at the top.
Yep.
As we kind of continue to add more things to the press, it gets more nuanced. So we're going to start by just adding that taller length at the top, and then we'll kind of add one or two more things to really kind of set it off. And you should find that we're popping kind of like my last one there, where you can go quite a bit higher. And we have enough landing here where if that continues to add a little bit of distance, we're still in a safe spot.
Yeah, okay. Fantastic. All right, man. Let's do it.
Big length. Yeah. Nice.
Nice, dude.
So I'm not sure if you can catch that on that last demo. The absorb part, so your trajectory is great now. The absorb part is kind of shutting down some of the little bit of the energy that you've created. And it's the kind of the way that we're absorbing is what's doing that. So I noticed you kind of pulling the bar in with that knees coming in. We kind of try to use only the knees for that absorb and not so much bending of the elbows, because we want that front wheel's naturally going to find that weightless point, that ceiling that you create with the feet, and you get a rounder arc. So, you know, your bike's kind of sailing this way, and then if we absorb with the hands, you can sometimes do that, or it stays the same if you're doing it with the knees and elbows. And what we want to do is we want to change the angle to do this. Even though we're working with a step up here that has a bit of a flat landing, eventually we want to graduate this to where we're landing to a regular landing. So we want to build a habit of like landing, if not just a little bit front wheel first, two wheel. And Although that one you probably landed two wheel. We kind of went like that, or like trajectory going like this and then coming down. We want to kind of like get a little bit more of a,
Okay, great.
instead of like something like this.
Yeah, this is helpful.
We want to go like
definitely
this.
have had a couple when we're working on the other dirt jumps where I land real heavy and it feels really sketchy.
Yeah. So the way we're going to correct it is just try to maintain the elbow bend at the weightless point. So when you feel like, here's where I want to absorb, I want you to think about doing it only with your leg, bending the knee and tipping the toe.
Great.
And try to remain stiff with your arms so they keep this bend, but they don't go like this.
So the arms and the legs are pressing up the ramp through the lip,
Yeah.
and then I'm just absorbing with the knees.
Yeah, if there's any action of the forearms, it's actually away from you rather than towards you.
Okay, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I'll do a little demo on the next one before you drop, and then you'll be able to see it as well.
Great, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, when you get that length at the top of the ramp, you almost feel like that whatever position your elbows are in, like it should be somewhere about here with that length. They're like welded.
Okay, cool.
And if you do need to move them, you move them that way and not this way. Yeah. It all happens in the knees and a little bit of toe curl.
Okay.
Here we go.
I did it with the arms, isn't it?
A little bit.
It's such a habit.
Yeah.
Let me try that again.
Let's do a few and see if we can chip away at that a little bit. There we go, nice.
That felt really weird. I guess just because it's different.
Yeah, I mean like, so you're able to remove that movement of bringing your handlebar towards you, but then it also isolated any movement from your legs. So we kind of focused on a new skill.
I just went stiff.
And then we forgot to do the other stuff. But this is part of it, right? So you're still successful in starting that new motion, in that new movement pattern. So we'll just keep doing a couple of those, and then we'll see if we can connect the dots where you can maintain exactly what you did there with the arms and the upper body while bringing back what you were doing with the lower body earlier.
Right, yeah. Awesome, thanks, mate.
Beauty. Nice, that's looking good.
Is it? I feel like I still did a lot of arms there.
Yeah, there was still some, but because we are kind of driving it forward, this is kind of starting to create the right motion. So we're no longer kind of pulling it in at the top. You like kind of found a new place, putting it in your lap here. And then right here, we drive it forward. So we're still in a good position where we're kind of like trying to tip the bike down and away from us so that when we do get to those landings. So just trying to, right here, we're gonna see if we can find a little bit more of an L shape. So about here, if you could have your hips more over the saddle, so we're kind of like over the top tube, you can see there.
Yeah.
If you can find them over, so you kind of have more of a straight leg here.
Yes, right.
And then we just ride the top end of that ramp in that full length position, so.
Yeah, I see.
Nice, Jay. Yeah.
Thanks.
So holding that length on that try certainly got you moving up a lot more before the bike leveled out.
Yeah.
And so where you started to come down was further forward on the jump, whereas before, somewhere earlier, you were finding more absorb. And so again, that just kind of puts the ceiling on the rise that's available. And it also shortens where you're coming back down to the ground.
Right.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay,
Let's
awesome.
do a few more of those. Yeah, yeah. Keeping that bar in front of you is kind of the
That
idea
seems
now.
to be working.
Nice. That's beautiful. I love it.
Now I'm pressing all the way through, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
like that.
And I noticed you added a crank as well. So we're into two pedals now. They kind of like, as we kind of find the limits of what's possible in that available press, that sort of tells you, well, do I need to add speed or not? Like the safe way to go about it is we come to a agreement of what the minimum drop point is to where you now have to create a lot of press. And then you spend a little bit of mileage doing that. And then once you can see, do I have room to go bigger? Now you add speed. If we go the opposite route and you go speed and then pop, it's usually where we build bad technique and we can often have these kind of getting bucked sort of situations.
Right.
So I think this is probably a good spot to, let's say, like a handful of tries, whether that means 1, whether it means 5, it's up to you.
Yep.
And then maybe we'll do a little break, have some water, and
Great.
see where we're going next.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
all right.
Yeah.
Love
Awesome.
it. Yeah. I'm going to join in again.
Great.
Yeah.
That's certainly
That's
sold out.
so sick. Yeah, that was sweet.
is
Like
fun.
we're at the top of how big we can take this without getting into space where we start to kind of impact quite hard.
Yep.
Like if we add any more amplitude, then you're running at a transition and you can still land it, but it's like we're getting in that BMX territory where you're going street mode and you land, because they land flat too.
Yeah.
But it's going to be quite a burden on our body.
Mm.
So we'll keep it here and
Yeah.
just get a little more mileage in. That was great.
Great. Thanks, Phil. I did that freeze thing where I was just,
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm high.
But that was actually really cool that that happened because that one looked like maybe a little bit of sauce, like a little too much.
It's got a
And
tough
so
one.
had you held the position that we're looking for, it actually would have had you coming into this zone here that may have been a little dangerous.
Okay.
And I can see that you're already developing an awareness for that.
Yeah.
So that little bit of pull, it's not to like lose it entirely,
Yeah.
it's to like remove it in order to create trajectory. We can bring it in if we need to shut down or again give ourselves a ceiling, like a lower ceiling of our trajectory. In that case, coming in maybe a little bit hotter, we're getting excited.
Yeah, I think so.
And so we found the feeling, or you found the feeling that this looks a little bit deep, I'm going big, or I feel like a lot of pressure's through the ramp. Let's shut it down, pull the bar in a little bit. While it might have you land a little back wheel first, it's protecting you from creating a trajectory that would put you to flat. So watching that's pretty cool. I'm seeing some understanding that's developing there. Yeah, why don't we take a little, take 5?
Yeah, take 5, and then maybe I'll try that with a little less sauce.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we've been getting some really good tries here, good attempts, really making some progress. What I like that I'm seeing is that kind of bend is disappearing. You know, we're seeing good trajectory, that bend at the top of the lip. So where you have that kind of nice sort of 90 almost bend in the elbows, this is what we want to create as our standard for leaving the lip. And how that's going to translate to the flip is that if you leave consistently here, you give yourself equal range of motion to bring the bike towards you as you do to bring it away from you.
Right.
When we're in a rotation, as you experienced with Ryan at Air House, like you've already been working with some of the aerial stuff, the smaller you can make yourself, your rotation will speed up. The bigger you can make yourself, it'll slow down. And so if we give ourselves this nice middle space, then we offer ourselves the best chance to correct should we have pulled or chosen a speed that was a little off. All those things contribute to your rotation and your trajectory. So although we won't be rotating today, we want to kind of have that thought here. So on this try, we are going to try to keep that 90 that you leave, 90 in your elbow bend as you leave the lip, and that gives you that equal range to go away from you or towards you.
Yep.
And we're going to start by going towards us on that verbal cue. So maintain that position, lengthen your body as you leave the lip, and wait for my call and see if you can bring it in.
Okay, great. So just thinking about the arms.
Bring the bike into you, both knees and arms. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right, coming in strong, looking for a tall position on the lip. Tuck.
I didn't. Oh, man.
That's all right. It might have been a late call on my part, to be honest, because I think it doesn't really work on the way down. It needs to be at the hang point or right before.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of feel myself getting tired here, and I think I was just thinking about like add more amplitude. I kind of forgot the main point. Let me try that one. What's that?
Tuck. Nice. That was great.
Lucky.
That was good.
That's good.
Cool. Yeah, let's do one more. This time I'm gonna try and do it on purpose, like too early, and see if he does it. Tuck. Nice.
Oh, so doing it earlier, maybe.
Yeah, so that was actually intentional. Nice job.
Thanks, Mike.
We can actually, because you have an awareness of it that's developed enough, that's a safe practice
Okay.
in order to, like on a cue, recognize that like something needs to be done, and you get to see like the results of it. Like when we do tuck like that, you pitched forward.
Yeah, it's cool to feel how quickly that affects the
Yeah,
trajectory.
exactly. So it's kind of like a fun, safe way to play with how your position changes your rotation without really doing a flip rotation or even close to that, because we don't have the terrain to do that right now today. Yeah, I might, if you're comfortable with it, offer a demo for the next size up.
Yeah, I'd love to see.
Okay, so we are ready to size up this next one. I'll get things started for us, and then we'll kind of talk about where the feels are after that.
Okay.
Always with sizing up something a little bigger, just making sure, you know, just like we did for the very first one, we want to check in, where's our comfort level? You know, you just said to me off camera that this feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like outside of your reach.
No, but it also feels like, wow, that's going to be super cool when I take that.
Yeah.
Because it is, yeah, it feels like a good challenge.
A good challenge, yeah. That's kind of where we want to be. It's exactly the right recipe for a good progression curve, and you know, that feeling that we all strive for on the bike, the excitement for that cool new adrenaline thing.
Totally.
Sweet. So I'm gonna get things started same as we did before. Find a spot where it feels good, where we're gonna start from a dead stop. We don't want to introduce too many variables, so I won't be pedaling or braking, and see what that produces from here, and then just kind of calibrate. So I may go a little case, I may go a little deep on the first try. This is kind of what first tries are all about, and then we'll go from there.
Amazing, man.
Deep breath before we go. Feeling good. All right, here we go.
Nice. Super smooth, eh? Nice, Mike. You made that look smooth.
Yeah. So I imagine you may produce a very similar first try.
Yep.
Very safe to land back wheel first. And there's like a little bit of frozen position. Just dealing with all of the new feature thoughts. And, okay, here we go. And so you may not find all the movement that we're after in the end goal.
Yep.
But we saw what happens when you don't, so long as you commit to that brakeless point.
Yeah.
I didn't really press, I just kind of let it roll.
Yeah, okay.
And this is what we got.
Yeah, fantastic.
I might do one more because I'd like to see it from the side. And then when you feel good, if you feel good, feel free to go ahead and do that with no brakes, no pedals, and then just find like a soft to whatever press, like really not much of it at all.
Okay.
And that'll kind of take you there, because we do have these hardtail bikes, they roll fast. And then if for whatever reason, just kind of not feeling it, we can always just kind of slow down with the braking and maybe roll over the wood.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of our exit strategy, should you need one.
Yeah. Awesome, thanks, man.
All right, you got this. I'm gonna head to the bottom, and I might as well provide another demo on the way, and I'll watch from the side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome, man. Sounds good.
All right, you're up and.
Nice.
All right, Jake. First time on the big one.
Drop in.
Here we go. You got it. Woo! You went big.
Talk about frozen moment.
Oh my gosh. Was that scary?
Yeah. Pretty scary. But
Yeah.
at the same time, it wasn't like I was like, once I was up there, I was like, oh yeah, you're frozen. There's just mulch.
Yeah, just waiting
It felt fine
to come back down. Yeah, you activated that like kind of safety move a little bit, like brought the front end in and kind of just preparing yourself for what felt like maybe a little bit more airtime than what we had anticipated. It looked like you might have arrived at the ramp with a little more momentum than I did.
I definitely did, and that was like a fear thing, I think, of like
The gap, maybe?
I wanted to get over that.
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
it can be difficult to trust, or maybe even like, I don't know, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but sometimes I know that I feel, and I see it in clients too, where even though we recognize the understanding of like, by watching my demo a couple of times, you're like, okay, I can see proof of this is enough speed, but then there's something that instinctively kind of overrides that, even though we're aware of it, just to kind of give you that cushion,
exactly.
mental
It's
cushion.
something I don't trust you. It's sort of a subconscious thing, I think. I was just like, all right, let's commit, but I can
Totally.
a little too much.
And you can see how if this wasn't a step-up jump, a mistake like that moving to next terrain might be the end of your day, possibly worse. So we got really good terrain to work this. Do you feel okay about trying that again, making a couple little corrections?
Yeah, gonna pedal less on the way in.
That sounds perfect. Right on. All right, Jake, let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
This guy's good. Felt way better.
That was magic.
Thanks, man. Felt way better. God.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I should have listened the first time.
It's all good. It's part of it, right? Yeah.
That felt nerve-wracking, like just dropping and like not doing anything. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. It's kind of like that. I guess the control paradox. Like sometimes when I try to take control, we do too much.
Yeah, and like this is really going to prove valuable as foundations for the flip because less really is more. Once we start to get into a place where we introduce rotations and temporarily we will be completely upside down, we want to make sure that we're fully aware of what generates more rotation, less rotation, trajectory going higher, lower speed, all that. And so we're doing a really great job of building that, all while building also the mental like confidence to go for it a little bit, because there is that element too of just conviction and commitment. So when you come in with no pedals, no brakes, you're committing to that decision, even though it starts to feel a little bit like uncertain and uneasy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of fear still there, but under the surface.
Yeah.
That was really affirming.
It really
to be
did
able
drop
to do
you.
that and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, in the perfect spot. Like
exactly.
it was
From
great.
the moment I was in the air, I was like, yeah, this feels good.
Perfect. Yeah, and recognizing how each jump is a little different. So it does take that kind of practice to find where's that drop point that produces exactly the trajectory that you like with the least amount of input from you in your position. And so that's what we found here on this jump. How about a couple more of those and see if we can hit that target consistently?
Fantastic.
Let's do it. Excellent. Excellent. So perfect.
That one felt comfortable.
Yeah. When you think about like the best sweet spot on a jump, it should always be the highest available landing.
Right.
Where you land two wheels at the same time.
Yep.
Some people think they look at the landing and they look at the center point between the top and the bottom. And it's not how we want to think about it.
Okay.
You want to find yourself as high up with the rear wheel that's like closest to that corner to what would be called a case without
you can get the nice angle, and also we can use the jump to pump.
Yes, and you find less impact.
Right.
The higher on it you go, the less you should feel almost like you haven't left the ground.
Yes. Right.
And on the last try, you pretty much nailed that spot.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising me how little you have to press for a bigger jump.
Yeah, it's a sign of a very well-made jump. It's very steep as well. This is like a lot steeper than what you would find in most dirt jumps, and it is the steepest lip in town.
Okay.
So more than anything in the bike park.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to get comfy on for sure. Nice, man.
Nice. So, I mean, that's pretty good. We made a great progression here.
Thanks, man.
That's quite a big gap when you think about if we were to completely remove the safeties. So we had zero case guard. If we had, you roll up to like an aggressive dirt jump spot and you might find the big line or next to biggest line looking something like this without the case guard.
Yeah.
We start to see what looks like about a 2.5 bike length in distance. And probably about I don't know, just eyeballing maybe like a good 6 foot difference in lip to landing. So, you know, that's quite a gap if there was a full-on gap there. Clearly there's something to be said about the mental tenacity and commitment required if there was that gap.
Definitely, yeah.
But we're building blocks towards that today. With
I can definitely see how this would translate back to one that didn't have the safeties like you're saying.
Yeah.
This has been amazing because like I said, when we rode up here today, I kind of looked at that and thought, I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Seeing those steps that I didn't realize existed in between there and here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, feel fun and comfortable.
It's been pretty awesome to see and it's consistent. Now we've got several tries where you're consistently in the same target. The only real place to go is we can either add easy tricks or amplitude. Amplitude, in order to keep things like flip focused, we can kind of keep amplitude where it is. And depending on where the energy level is, if you have a few more in you, we can try, if you saw my last one, a little bit of bar movement. If that feels like something you want to try, it can just be a little bit of a good practice of how relaxed are we in the air? When we're in the air, like we have consistency doing a straight air. If we're relaxed enough and confident enough, then we can introduce movements without much hesitation.
Yeah.
Does that feel like a comfortable challenge, or we want to kind of?
That's something I kind of play around with a little bit on the mountain bike, so I feel like it's something I can play around with. Yeah. I'm checking in on my energy levels, and I'm like, we're getting towards the end of the day.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, maybe a few more in me, and then that'll be good.
Sounds good. Just introducing small motion. It doesn't need to be 90 to the bike or even anywhere near that. Just something where it's like an intentional motion of the bar and then a return to that natural position again.
Great. I'll give that a go.
Cool. Nice. Nice, Jay.
Thanks, man.
That was awesome. How'd that feel?
Probably felt like I turned the bars more than I actually did.
Okay, yeah, probably. That's usually the case. Like if you remember, I'm sure the first time you got air, at least the first time I did, I was all like, woo, get the camera, right? And you get your friends next to crank it up or whatever, jump, and then you find that you're like,
credit card.
yeah. But I mean, this is a great place to start. It's far further than what I imagined we might get to today, but just kind of reading the room, it looked like you're feeling it and you're there. So yeah, wherever you're at with it now, if you want to keep cooking while the skillet's hot, if you will, we can do a few more of those, or we can call it there with the energy levels. How are you feeling?
Let's do 2 more.
All right, I like that.
We never say 1 more. Let's do 2 more.
I'm gonna join in because that looks like a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Good.
Awesome, dude.
Nice.
I felt like I was a smidge later then.
Yeah. It was. It certainly was. Yeah, you were closer to the top of your air, like nearer to the apex.
Yeah.
And you just feel comfier there, right? Because like, it just feels like when you introduce motions into the bike, it's not going to impact your initial trajectory that you've created on the ramp in the same way when you use it in the weightless space. So by doing it a little early, you kind of tend to like close or put a ceiling on your trajectory. Doing it a little late was actually what ended up happening to me. And you kind of run the risk of not getting that front wheel all that straight or potentially tipping a little bit. So that's kind of what we saw with my attempt there. So, but really cool to get to this place where we're actually experimenting with tricks and timing. I really didn't think we'd get here today.
Oh, thanks,
but yeah,
no,
it's been fantastic.
Credit to your coach, that feedback's been on point.
Oh, dude, I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. It looks like a really exciting project, and it's only getting more exciting by the
as we go.
Yeah.
So we've got a session booked at the Whistler Airbag, I believe, like a week and a half from now. I'm going to make sure I'm a good student. I get some practice in between now and then. Any like kind of main focus points I should be thinking about while I'm practicing?
I would recommend, because this is a place where we get excited and, kind of like introduced a bit of tricks. If you do want to introduce movement or like experiment with tricks, I would limit it to that trick only. Some bar movement just keeps things safe and kind of like a little bit of experimentation there. But the main focus just being on maintaining that nice, consistent position where you always land in the same spot if you do come back to this jump. So remembering some of the cues that took us there. It's like when you're at the top of that ramp, that bar should be about the center of your chest or kind of across your pectorals rather than like if we find it down here, then we're in a bit of a protection. If it's kind of come down below and you kind of hinged over, it's that little bit of safety taking over. So just finding comfort to where that becomes the standard, with the idea of thinking how it's going to translate into flip later, remembering that that's how we're going to have equal range of motion in both directions in order to deliver more rotation or less rotation by putting the bike closer away from us. So really just getting familiar with that neutral bend in that forearm to where it's even is going to be the homework.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something you can do on every jump, not just here. It'll really come into play. Be super valuable when it comes time to get some rotations going.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks so much for tonight's session. It's been super fun. Thank you to Adrian for filming. We'll see you on the next one. Next stop, Whistler Airbag.
0 to flip.
Oh yeah.